Well, knowing you, I'm sure you got some of that probably from your parents, that will to survive and succeed.
Absolutely.
And grind. And
yeah, my parents, they had to deliver Miami Herald newspaper in a station wagon at 3 o'clock in the morning for many years. They had 2 and 3 jobs. They hustled. They worked really hard. And that's just, the mentality, how they were raised and how I was raised. I was raised the same way. You go to work.
The following is a conversation with Tammy Garcia, who is the founder of the Anchor Group, an integrated real estate company located right here in Miami, Florida. Her group sells and leases commercial properties along with residential single-family homes. Tammy is now focusing on building Anchor Group Property Management, which she recently launched and already has 50 units under management. One of the most difficult things in real estate is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. And in my opinion, this is the best quality of my guest. This is the David Maggard podcast. To support, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Now I present to you, Tammy Garcia. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, David.
How are you?
Just peachy. How are you?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sitting down. Thank you for what you're about to share.
Sure. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
How's everything with you? Family, everything's
good? Everything's good. Everything's good.
But are you kind of frightened of the recession of 2023 or?
I can answer that. My will to push forward and grow is way stronger than my fear of anything. I've never been afraid of anything that comes down the road. I'd rather do whatever I need to do to face it than to cower in fear.
I believe you. Because I read your resume today, and you've done a little bit of everything in the real estate space. 1993, you started as a mortgage loan officer.
Yeah.
Where was that?
That was at Ocean Mark Bank many moons ago. And I transitioned from the residential sector into the commercial sector, which is what linked me to later on working for the developer, because I learned about commercial loans and construction draws and all of that. But yeah, that was back in the day.
Why leave financing? Because, the next one was like 8 years working for Project Engineer Construction Pacific International.
Right.
So, but why leave? You didn't like writing loans, or times were tough at a certain period, or what was?
Well, it wasn't because times were tough. It was more because it didn't give me much of a challenge. A loan file was a loan file. The document list was the document list. And it was more of gathering information from a buyer to get the loan package complete and submitting it to the underwriting department. And it just got a little bit tedious and overwhelming with paperwork. And I found more excitement, more of a challenge being out at a job site in a construction trailer, being there firsthand, looking at the development from the ground up. That was more of a challenge. That was more interesting to me than a file. So that's why I was so attracted to making that switch.
And it was like more tangible, or were you still doing, when you went into construction, were you still looking at financing, or?
I was, but it was from a different perspective. I was looking at subcontractor contracts and the draws and change orders and architectural change orders, owner change orders, and I had to do takeoffs. I would get the plans, whether they were architectural or mechanical or electrical, and I would have to take takeoffs. How many pieces of equipment do we need for this, that, what phase? It was there's always numbers involved, always, but it was just different. It wasn't as I would say monotonous as a loan file. And every day was a new adventure. Every day something new would happen at the job site. It was more fun. What
kind of projects were you working on?
They were apartments. They were commercial apartments. It was the Courts of South Beach was the first one. The Courts of South Beach, way right there, south of Fifth. You know where it is? Okay, that was the first one. And there was a phase 1 and a phase 2 and a phase 3, I believed. And they did the Sunset Harbor as well. And I transitioned from Pacific International Construction.
So you worked on all those projects, Sunset Harbor and on the courts?
I worked on the Courts of South Beach, and then I was recruited by Bovis, McDevitt Street Bovis.
Who's that?
Well, it's funny you should say, who's that? But back in the day, it was like, oh, Bovis. They were a big deal back in the day. But McDevitt Street Bovis eventually became Bovis and Lease. And they recruited me. And I came to work not far from here off of
They
Brickell.
recruited you from the construction company?
Yes, they did. There was an attorney that typically visited the job site who represented the developer. And he was the one that noticed my passion for the work that I did. I loved working on the construction site, and he recruited me to work at Bovis. And then for many years after that, I worked at Bovis, McDevitt Street Bovis and Lease, and they built the Santa Maria here in Brickell Avenue, the Espirito Santo, and then they built the Memorial West, Baskin Palmer I. They had a lot of projects, and I was with them for a very long time working in their main office.
And that was in 2000?
No, before.
Before 2000?
Yeah, before.
But you worked for the Pacific International for 8 years?
I think it was a combination of...
Both of them?
Yeah.
So did you get your fix in construction? I mean, like, where did that go strange? Like...
that's, I got my fix all right. It was, it was, I was out in the field initially.
Or did the financial crisis happen? Is that what happened?
Well, a lot of things happened. So I left Bovis and Lease because then I decided to start my own business. I wanted to transition out of construction and real estate because I wanted to open my own business. I wanted to experience owning a business.
Had you owned a business before?
No. So I created...
Because I see you as a person in that is very easily... Because I would like to own my own business. Mm-hmm. But I see you as a person that and kind of like how exciting you're getting right now, it just comes out of you.
It does.
That I really see you as that person who is easily to step into that challenge, that task, and take it, straight on. So I'm sorry to...
Absolutely. No, that's okay. So what I did is I created my own business. I had 2 e-commerce websites. I had over 12,000 products, something completely out of...
Wait. So not in real estate or construction?
No, retail e-commerce sites. And it was all because my brother told me I couldn't do it. My brother said, oh, you can't do that. And I said, well, let's see. And I did. So I had 2 e-commerce sites. I had over 12,000 products. I sold licensed items like Nickelodeon, Hanna-Barbera, Marvel, Disney for several years. And I did well, but then the real estate market crashed.
But how did you go from being in a development or being in the office around developments and looking at plans and change orders and task lists into e-commerce? Were you already dabbling on your off time, or?
I during my off time, I was, I had my daughters, and I'm not an idle hands person. I have to always be doing something. Mm-hmm. And when I had my daughters, and I used to go visit doctors' offices with my daughters, I bought some wholesale products, and I would sell them at the doctors' offices while I would take my daughters and go myself. And that is how it kind of evolved, and that's my brother saw me doing that.
Wait, so you had a couple children, right?
Yeah, 2 daughters.
And you were like, I'm going to the doctors today. I'm going to take products with me to sell to the doctors.
And it
because
worked.
I'm going to be there anyways.
Exactly.
Makes complete sense.
Absolutely. In my world, yes. So I did. I would sell all these products.
Was someone else already doing this? Like, how did you know this?
I just did it. It was something that I said, I've got to do something with myself. I just can't not produce. I've got to do something. So I went to, I think it was a Coconut Grove retail exhibition or something, and I found a few products that were easy to sell. I thought about what market to approach, and all these ladies in the doctor's offices, they liked all the products that I was selling to them. So I would have like a double stroller, and underneath the double stroller, I had
God.
all the bags
Oh
of
my God.
yes, of all the retail products
Hilarious.
in the double stroller. And then I was doing really well. I was running out of product to sell. And that's when my brother said, "Oh, why don't you open e-commerce sites? You're never going to do that." And I said, "Oh, well, you know what?
Oh,
yeah."
so you were actually bringing the real product with you,
Yes.
not just a model or
No,
prototype or something.
No, I had inventory.
Oh my
I had inventory.
God. And then you probably had more in your trunk too.
Yes, I did. I had in my trunk, in the stroller, in my bag, everywhere. I had products. So
And were your children just like, "Mom, I'm not sick. I don't need to go to the doctors." And you're like, "We're going to the
We're
doctors.
going to
We're going to the
doctors."
dentist." They're like, "Oh, they
Start
probably
coughing.
hate those places now."
yeah.
So then the change happened when you started a family, obviously.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you got out of the construction business. You were working long hours probably.
Yes.
And your husband was like, "Let's have a family."
Right.
So you.
Right. That's
Okay.
exactly what happened. And then so with the e-commerce sites, I did that for quite some time, and I had a good amount of success doing that from home with my daughter. So I was able to manage my time with them and manage my time at work.
And is that incorporate like drop shipping and Amazon and all that? So you didn't have to have any actual physical.
I did. I had
Inventory?
some inventory.
You had like your own warehouse somewhere?
Yeah, it's called the garage. It was in the garage, and the on-hand inventory that I had was local vendors, mom and pop shops that I bought from them, and I bought wholesale and then retailed it out. But I did have contracts with drop shippers, companies throughout the United States that would drop ship products out to clients. And those were great because I didn't have to keep the inventory. I didn't have to worry about that. And those took up the majority of the inventory were the drop ship.
But obviously you got bored because you ended up back in school. I'm so happy that you got out of the e-commerce drop ship building. I would have never met you. And I mean,
I know.
it sounds boring.
Everything.
I don't like that, Tammy.
I know. I agree. It was for the time and the purpose it served. It was fine.
Sure.
But then the real estate market dropped. Mm-hmm. And then my sales plummeted because the type of products that I sold were not, your staple products. People didn't have the money to buy, a commercial grade mural for their, their wall or luxury items.
Well, hold on. Before we go from that, how
Okay.
much money were you bringing in annually for?
Well, I was
A lot?
I was making at one point 20 to 30,000 in sales a month.
In how much do you keep?
In
What do
retail.
you net of that?
And I would be netting anywhere between 50.
50%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good. So I was doing very well. But then now that you've put a number on it, from that number, that range, it dropped down to almost nothing, between 2,000 and 4,000 a month, because of the real estate market dive back in the day, and then it just wasn't sustainable anymore. So then I closed shop and said, okay, let me do what I really love, which is real estate. So I went right back into real estate, and I wasn't very interested in the residential sector at all because I was out at a job site. I knew the commercial. So that's when I went to FIU.
So that was 2012, though. So you tried to hold on to the e-commerce thing throughout? Because, I mean, the financial crisis was 05, 06, 07, somewhere around, depending on where you lived and, what industry
I
you were
had
in.
it for quite some time even after that, and I tried to rebuild it, and I tried to, make some changes. But that window of opportunity was gone. And as you know, Amazon and all of that, it just trumps over any of the small mom and pop businesses. So I tried, but I ended up having to sell everything. Yeah. I took a little bit of time off too. I took a short little hiatus before I went back into real estate. So
that's where I met you at FIU, the grad level, 2012, I believe, 2013.
I think it was, it was 2012, right?
2012, right?
I think so, yeah.
I know you put 2014 graduate, but it had to be.
I don't know.
2013, I think,
Yeah,
was our
maybe
cohort.
2013. Yeah.
Okay, great. But so let's rewind.
Okay.
So are you from Miami? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up here in Miami. I was born in Cuba,
Okay.
in Camagüey, Cuba, and I left when I was almost 3 years old.
Okay.
And then we came here, and I've lived here pretty much all my life.
Did your parents come over with you, or they stayed there?
My mom and my grandparents stayed with me in Cuba while my dad left first to Spain. My dad had to go to he went to Spain and to raise money to get us out of Cuba. And then from Spain, he came to Miami. And then we left Cuba, went to Mexico, and then we came to Miami.
What did he do in Spain?
He worked his beep off in Spain. Yeah, he had to do. My dad was in medical school in Cuba, and my mom was a social worker. And then Fidel came and everything just collapsed. So he had to start from scratch here in the U.S. My dad and my mom both had to start from scratch. And my mom now is a retired teacher. She was with the Dade County School Board. And my dad passed away 8 years ago, and my dad was a radiologist.
So he continued on and actually, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people come from other countries that I meet, and there's, I had a doctor's degree, and it's too hard to get over here.
I can tell you that my dad's generation and my grandparents' generation.
Well, knowing you, I'm sure you got some of that probably from your parents, that will to survive and succeed.
Absolutely.
And grind. And
yeah, my parents, they had to deliver Miami Herald newspaper in a station wagon at 3 o'clock in the morning for many years. They had 2 and 3 jobs. They hustled. They worked really hard. And that's just, the mentality, how they were raised and how I was raised. I was raised the same way. You go to work, And I worked since high school and haven't looked back. Since high school, I started working.
What was your first job?
My first job was working in Dadeland Mall at Swim and Sport Shop. I did inventory in Swim and Sport Shop.
Oh, inventory. You weren't even on the floor. They didn't even let you work
I
in the
started inventory,
and
then I moved up to
Folding
the
bathing
front.
suits? Or putting bathing suits on hangers, I guess?
Yes, that's what I did. That was and I would get out of, I went to LaSalle High School, and school would let out at 2:45 in the afternoon, and I drove like a crazy person to Dadeland Mall because I had to start, I think it was at 3:15 until 9 o'clock at night, until closing time while I was in high school.
Yeah, I know that mall grind. I worked at Structure. You remember Structure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Express and Structure,
Yeah.
whatever. And I worked at Chick-fil-A in the mall.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, both of those. It was fun. You knew all the other mall people, whatever, mall kids or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't long for me, but so everything here. Did you go to a Catholic school or anything? Was it all public school or private?
No,
or?
Catholic school from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. I went to 12th grade actually.
How was the priest?
Which one? Because there were several priests. We had Sister Mary Eleanor at Saints Peter and Paul Elementary School.
Any scandals?
Not not that I heard of.
Really?
No, I didn't have. No.
Has there been scandals in Miami like that?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then they got rid of the priest goes somewhere else.
The priests got there's with the Catholic faith. Well, with the Catholic faith, once you're a priest, you're always a priest because it's a sacrament. So you can't remove someone's priesthood from them.
I mean they removed them from that.
Yeah, they removed them from practicing. Is what
they removed them from practicing? Really?
Yeah. Yes. There was one incident where the priest was removed from practicing. Taken away from the public and everything. And there's
because of a scandal with a child. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. That's the first time.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that we work with, their kids have gone through.
You know what?
Catholic school here.
What I say to that is we're all human. No one is infallible. No one is perfect. I'm sure that there's terrible doctors that do terrible things, and there's terrible attorneys that do terrible things.
There was the doctor in the gymnastics for the girls team. Remember that?
Exactly.
Terrible guy.
So in every walk of life, there are terrible, bad people. Right. So there's no exception. There's no exception to that. Even the Catholic Church.
But we also say though, like when you put the cloth on and you're representing, a higher power. You should,
You should, absolutely, but who knows the heart of man? Only God. And if you put your cloak on and your heart is not with God, who else is going to know? You find out later, unfortunately. So there's people that shouldn't, there's people that shouldn't have a real estate license. How's that? There's people that shouldn't be practicing real estate because they're a disservice.
Yeah, but I think real estate and a pastor or a priest or someone in, because I grew up Catholic and went to Catholic school and confirmation and all that, and great priest. And I remember being a small kid just looking up to him like, wow. And, this was when they spoke and it was so powerful. And, not till later in life did we hear about the scandals and all these things that broke out. And I was kind of like devastated.
It is devastating, but
I was almost an altar boy. Thank God I wasn't.
Well, I trained altar boys.
What does that mean?
That means that the parish that I belong to, and it's not just altar boys, it's altar girls too, the altar servers, as we call them, they have to be trained. They need to know what a ciborium is. They need to know how, when to put, the purificator and all of these terms that I know as a Catholic. They have to be trained on how to work with the priest. So I was part of the training program for altar servers. I'm also a Eucharistic minister. And I did the
Why?
Because I did the 2-year lay ministry program with the Archdiocese of Miami. In between all of the things that I do,
My Lord.
And I'm a what is it called? It's a
overachiever.
That overachiever. It's a
multitasker,
a restless spirit. I'm a lay ministry facilitator, and I was a commissioned lay minister. I took a 2-year program through the Archdiocese of Miami to really dig deep into my faith, very deep, and I mean, we could have a whole podcast on that another day on faith, but yeah, that's something that I'm very proud of. I did that, and that's that's very much of my core. That's what keeps me grounded.
Is that just faith. In case real estate doesn't work out? You can go do that.
You're too funny.
It's your fallback.
It could be a fallback. Maybe in my later years in life, later on when I need to really slow down, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll be the church lady. How's that?
So when you were young, let's say in high school, who was your biggest influencer? Was it someone in the church or was it a parent? Like how your parents were hard workers? Were they your influence? Who touched you or impacted you?
My dad.
Not touched you.
No, I gotcha. My dad.
Your dad.
My dad. My dad has, like I said, my dad passed away 8 years ago, but my dad and I were very good friends. I was a bit of a tomboy growing up. I used to climb on the roof and shoot iguanas with BB guns and things like that.
With leopard shoes on, right?
With leopard shoes on. But I was very close to my dad. And my dad always pushed me. He'd always tell me, you can do better. You can do this. You could do more. You could do better. You could. He never made me feel like, I wasn't capable of XYZ. It was always the contrary. It was like, oh, no, you can. Go do it. Go this. Go get it. Go achieve. Always. And he was very close, I would say. I mean, we would ride bikes together and we would spend a lot of time talking. And I had a very open relationship with my dad. I could sit and talk to my dad about just about anything and everything. And his work ethic and his strength as a man always was, the model for me. I get it. I'm a girl, whatever. But he never said, "Oh, you're a girl, you can't." He always said, "Oh, no, go do it, go finish, go." And he always supported me. And a lot of who I am today is because of who he was with me growing up. A lot of it.
Daddy's little girl.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I want to have a girl. Because I have a son. And it's great when you have a son because I was able to do everything with him. Mm-hmm. But he loves his mom more.
He'll come around. I promise.
No, because that's the girl. That's the daddy's little girl component, though. Is I was telling Soli is that I get to love her and she can love me more than her. And she has to do all the girl stuff with her.
I don't know what to tell you because
I'm thrilled.
I have 2 daughters. They're 18 and 20. They're at FSU. They're studying criminology. And I'm extremely close to them. I would say closer to them than my husband. And it's because of the relationship that I had with my dad.
Don't tell him that.
I'm not going to. Uh-oh. We better. No, he kind of knows. Oh, let me backtrack a little. He kind of knows, but the girls can talk to me about anything and everything.
Yeah, of course.
And I had that with my dad. So I have that with them. So I modeled that with them the same way that I could tell my dad anything and everything. The same thing happens with me and my girls. So we have that close bond. So
how did you earn that trust with them?
By not making them feel that, by not ever talking down to them, by not making them feel small, by respecting them. I'm a mom. I mean, I will tell you, you can't do this, and I will be a mom and I will do my mom duties, but I let them fail all the time. They had the ugliest volcanoes in elementary school. When they had the volcano projects, I promise you my daughter's volcanoes were the ugliest ones because I had them give me a list of the materials that they needed. I would go pay for it because they didn't have any money. And I brought the materials home and I go, here's a list of materials you asked me for. There you go. Mom, how do you? It's your volcano. You need to work on your volcano. Go ahead and do it. And they would probably, would have done better if I would have built it for them. They would have gotten an A or whatever. There were volcanoes that showed up at elementary school that looked like architectural projects, for these little kids. I'm like, yeah, that kid did not do that. The parents did it for him. I've never been that type of parent. I've always let them, grow and learn and fail whenever they needed to fail. But I was always there for them and say, well, what are you going to do next time so it doesn't come out so ugly?
And they're going for law now?
Well, they're both in criminology. So one likes the psychology aspect of criminology, and the other one likes the legal aspect of criminology. But they're
Why
not.
do you women, and I am going to generalize, and that this is predicated on Soleil, that she loves watching crime movies and
I love it.
and murder movies.
Yeah,
and
it's awesome.
Serial killers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you?
I can relate.
I never watched that. I watched it with her, but
because it's so great when they catch the bad guy, and the process of getting that bad guy is fascinating. I find that fascinating.
But are you scared of the bad guy?
At
Is that why
all.
you want the bad guy off the streets?
No, I'm not scared of any bad guy.
I'm just wondering what the fascination is. A lot of men talk about this.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Huh. Well, no, I like watching all those investigation ID shows, all the discovery, all of the, I don't know. I think I find it fascinating, but I like the science and the psychology behind it. Whenever there's a show that talks about how do I identify, a psychopath, I could probably give you a list of the different, things to look out when somebody is truly a psychopath, because I watch all of these shows. I find that super interesting. What happened in that kid's life growing up that he became a psychopath? Was there nature or nurture? Did he have some genetic component that he couldn't help, where he just naturally was a psychopath? Or did the parents or family, or did something happen to him or her, although there's very few hers, but to him or her, that caused him to be a psychopath? I find that super fascinating. I think that's it's interesting. It's the science and the psychology behind it. And that's rubbed off to my daughters. I never had them watching any of those shows. I never said, sit down, let's watch this serial killer show. I never said a word. I would see that, during my private time. I didn't want to expose them to that gore or anything, but they somehow ended up wanting to go that route in life. They love criminology. So they're right now in FSU studying criminology.
And they probably speak about it the same way you just did.
Probably. And when they talk
And their
to,
boyfriends are probably like, I don't understand.
oh, they don't have any boyfriends. They don't have time for that silliness.
Really?
No. Especially my little one. She'll tell you, I don't have time for that. If I have an hour on a Saturday, I'm not going to give it away. They're focused.
18's not that little anymore.
Yeah.
You call her your little one?
That's my baby.
They have no interest about real estate.
None. I mean, I offer them.
Do you like that, or you just rather them go their own path, or
they need to go their own path. They need to go their own path. They need to find their own way, and they need to go their own path. Yeah, absolutely.
Where did you go to school other than the grad school in FIU? Did you go to FIU as well?
I went to FIU.
Undergrad?
Yeah, I was thinking of becoming a teacher, education.
Really?
Yeah, and I did great. As a matter of fact, the professor that I had in the School of Education told me that I should already start going to, this is, back in the day, going to Miami High and doing some work at Miami High, teaching and this and that. And I did very well, but I had to take an exam to get into the School of Education. I had straight A's. I've always been a good student. And I had to do this exam to get into the School of Education at FIU, and I was 1 point short on the math side of all things. I've always done very, very well academically, especially, with grammar and history and everything, but math has always been a challenge for me. Funny. I was 1 point off, and they wouldn't let me get into the School of Education.
It seems with all your energy and just to be a teacher. I mean, we need good educators out there for our youth, but yeah, I wouldn't have picked that. If that was in a list, be a teacher. No, I wouldn't have picked that. I don't know what I would say. Like, was it just because, I mean, how were you in those years? That's like early 20s where you just kind of like, oh, I don't know which direction I want to go to. I'll be a teacher. Or did you have a passion for teaching?
I liked teaching people. I like standing in front of a classroom and talking to people and giving them information and teaching. I'm comfortable doing that. And I did that at when I worked at Bovis. I was doing some HR work, and I had to train people, and I like that. I'm comfortable with it. So I thought that, okay, I'm comfortable with that. That's a career path. And I took...
Wait, but you hadn't worked at Bovis yet.
No.
Right.
No, I know. But I'm retrospecting a little bit here. Sorry. But when I was in college, I did take speech classes, and I did very well. Really, I got like the highest grade and everything. I did really well. And I could do this. Whatever, I could do this. So... I don't know. I thought that was just something comfortable for me to do. I'm still comfortable with it. You ask me to come and talk to a bunch of people and teach them something, I'll do it. I'll stand in the front of the classroom.
Yeah, but to have a profession and a career to be a high school teacher, I don't know, Tammy.
Yeah, I don't know, David.
It's
probably not me.
Go there every day to teach. I mean, I guess some of them care, but I would say the majority of them don't want to be there.
Oh, well, I mean, the world has changed significantly. When I was in school, when I went to St. Peter and Paul Elementary, we sat down quietly at our desk and we didn't breathe or move because you couldn't. And when my girls were in elementary school, they needed a substitute teacher, for emergency substitute teacher. And I went and substituted, and these kids were like chaos. It was like a zoo in the classroom. It was a whole different world. I'm like, what happened? This was not what school used to be. So, I don't know.
I just got to ask. So I've been doing the online, adjunct stuff with FIU teaching.
Which is awesome.
And things. And they just asked me, they've asked me a couple times to go in, because one of the classes with the hospitality school, their grad, it's a elective, but it's investment analysis. And it's like focused on hotels, but more focused on like internal rate of return and lenders rate of return and bottom line, and looking at different perspectives of, if like a developer, and if they're someone that's going to go in and value add, or are they looking to private equity. So there's like 3 different perspectives, and it's case studies. It's a pretty cool class, and I got to structure it. So they've asked me again to go in and teach it, and it's usually only like 10 students. The other class, the undergrad class for appraising in the business school, it's like 60 students. I would probably never go in and teach it. That sounds daunting.
It is
But
daunting.
to go in front of like 10 people.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I'm supposed to like actually give them my answer today. So I had all week to like think about it. And it's just a time suck, you know?
It is a time suck.
And it's all the way. I wish it was here in Brickell, like where we went to school.
Yeah, where we went.
This is all the way like North Campus. You ever go to that campus? Like 150th, 163rd or somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a drive.
It's a drive.
But everything you've just explained and described is kind of like, it's intriguing to go to a class, stand in front of them, talk to them. I'm so curious about people and how they look at real estate and just to learn more. I think, I don't know. I want to do it so bad. I'm probably going to say yes.
Then do it.
And yeah. Can we have a 13th day in the week or an 8th day in the week?
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If anything, you do it to determine that maybe you don't want to do it. How's that?
Yeah, of course. I look at things like that too.
Yeah.
I do things to see if I don't want to do it.
Exactly. And then you go do it. And if you decide it's not for you, then you got it out of the way and okay, I know this is not for me. And that's it. And you move on.
Yeah.
No fear.
Yeah, no fear. Yeah. The great thing is that I've done the class for years now and I know the class. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I probably will do it. We'll
I'm always right, David.
Yeah. With your husband.
True.
To be continued. All right, so you went to school. You were going to be a teacher. But then what changed?
What
did you end up?
Well, that one point that I was missing to get into school of education. That one point, I went to talk to, I guess, whatever, the head of the school of education at FIU, and I said, listen, I'm off by 1 point. This is look at my grades. I'm straight A's. I'm like, I can't. Nope, sorry, can't do it. Nope, sorry, can't do it. And I said, and there goes education. Goodbye, thank you. I'm going another route. And that was the end of that. And then I just started searching for something else to do. I ended up working at Ocean Mark Bank. Mm-hmm. Lending, and then
but listen what you're saying though. Like, who goes, oh, you didn't get to get the teaching position that you wanted because you're 1 point off in math? Well, we have got a position at the banking where you can put together mortgage documents.
Exactly. And I got my mortgage broker license.
So who influenced that?
I don't think I remember how that happened.
Because that seems like a big light bulb. You're like, oh, should I go work at Miami High School or the banking system? Big change.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
I don't remember exactly. Funny, I don't remember exactly how that happened. And Ocean Mark Bank was on 163rd Street. Mm-hmm. So, and I was living right down the street from here, from Brickell. So it was a schlep. I would drive all the way to 163rd Street to work every day and back. I don't exactly remember how that happened. I'm sure some sort of opportunity, someone knocked on my door and said, hey, look, there's a position here. And the position was, it was mortgage loan processor. And then from there, I jumped to business development. It was developer or business, something within Ocean Mark Bank. They gave me a better position out of there. But I don't know, David. I'm like, things present themselves to me and I take it. And wherever it leads me, and if it doesn't lead me where I want to be, where I'm happy, that's fine. I said, okay, well, that's not good, so let me go this route. And it's not that I, haphazardly or, stumble into things. It's just that I'm not afraid to grow and try new things. It goes back to my dad. Don't be afraid. You can do anything you want. So
no, that's the mentality to have, and that's what I try to tell Taylor as well, to have that growth mentality. Yeah. The way, to learn, to move, to grow. I mean, I wrote that down the other day. Move fast and break things.
There you go.
I heard that on another podcast, and the gentleman was saying, like, you got to make mistakes. You got to make a ton of mistakes. Now, if you're an engineer at Boeing, you want to mitigate your mistakes, right?
Of course.
But in life, it's make a bunch of fast mistakes, learn from them, and grow and move on, and you'll become successful a lot quicker than really, like, people are. They everything has to be perfect and lined up before they jump in.
Exactly.
And then they fail, and then it takes them so much longer to try again instead of just making mistakes. And then by the time you get to start your own business or what have you, then you've already made quite a few mistakes, and you should probably be more successful. That's what he was trying to explain.
Yeah, everybody likes to be in that comfort zone, and even when opportunities present themselves, are hesitant to kind of like investigate, to research, find out maybe because it's so comfortable. The status quo is very comfortable. You just kind of relax back and stay, that way, and that's it. But that's not me. That's not me. I'm always trying to find new routes, new directions, new things to do.
It's interesting that you don't remember who turned you on to the mortgages, because the mortgages was really probably how you got sparked into real estate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you've spent the last numerous years.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
So
No.
What does your brother do? You have one sibling, or?
I have one brother, and he's IT. He works in that industry, IT industry. I have one brother. He's my younger brother. I'm 6 years older and wiser.
What is his name?
Rene.
Rene?
Yeah, he has my dad's name, Rene. Yeah, and he's married.
How's my sister's middle name?
That's my daughter's middle name.
And your mom has my father's birthday.
My daughter's middle name, my oldest one, is Isabela Rene.
Okay.
In honor of my grandfather and my dad, who are both Rene. Mm-hmm. And my brother is Rene. Uh-huh. Yeah, and my mom's birthday was yesterday, mm-hmm. and your dad's birthday
was yesterday.
There you go.
And my sister's name is Devin Rene.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's funny. So you go to grad school. Mm-hmm. We meet. Mm-hmm. We worked on some cool projects together. Mm-hmm. It was a fun, fast 10 months, 10, 11 months, whatever it was.
It was fun. I liked it.
You came out on top with a bunch of money. I was reading it today, like you had like 3 or 4. But the big one was the I wrote it down, Malcolm Butter Scholarship.
Yep, I did get the Malcolm
Paid
Butter.
for your whole term. I'm still paying for mine. Thanks.
I'm so sorry.
Can I borrow some?
I was first recipient.
Well, congratulations. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, your first recipient.
Yeah, but yeah, I did come out, but it's funny, my dad passed away smack in the middle of all that. I think I had something due for Professor Johnson on a Monday, and my dad died the Saturday before, and it was a big project. I got an A-. Should have been an A, but whatever. I got an A-. But my dad, he made such an impact in my life. I when I spoke to the professors at FIU, and I love them all, they're phenomenal. They told me, Tammy, take your time, take 2 weeks. Your dad just died. You don't need to, whatever. I turned it in that Monday because I sat down in my living room, my dining room table, and I had my laptop open and my papers, and I go, oh my God, this is due on Monday, and my dad just died today. And I heard my dad's voice in my head or whatever say, you know what, finish what you started. He always said that, finish what you started, finish it. And I said, Dad, I'm going to finish it. And I didn't take any time off. I did what I had to do. I continued pushing forward and I came out ahead, better than I expected. When I graduated, I got World Ahead Graduate, which was a big deal. And the most moving part for me of that day when I graduated was that FIU put an extra chair for my dad where my family sat. There was my husband, my brother, his wife, my mom, and then that other chair that was missing, where someone wasn't sitting, was for my dad.
That's so nice. There
was a chair for my dad there, and that was very special to me. I came full circle on that day. I was able to tell my dad, yeah, thank you. I got through this because of what you taught me, because of who you were and who you've always been to me. Mm-hmm. So my dad, to this day, not a day goes by. I think about him all the time.
What great advice, right? Just finish it.
Just finish it.
Yeah, it's great advice.
Even if it's not what you really wanted, finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it done, and then you can move on to the next thing. But
because it gives you that I can do it mentality.
Of course.
Right? Oh, I finished that. Now I can put the same kind of antics into the next thing and level up or try something new or expand. Yeah, just finish it. That's great advice. Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry about your father.
It's okay.
Solly's going through that right now.
I'm sorry.
She's in Argentina.
Her dad passed?
Her dad passed last Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
It's rough.
But that's life, right? And it's almost just like you should go for everything you want to do, because once life's done,
it's done.
Yeah, it's done. My assistant was telling me, he was coming to work like 3 days ago, and he goes, I was driving to work and motorcycle went through the light and the guy made the left. Motorcycle went right into the car, flipped over, and I said, well, you don't know if he's passed away. He goes, yeah, my dad drove by like 10 minutes later and the ambulance, and so yeah, and so it's not guaranteed.
Nope.
You know, and it almost frustrates me, people that just lay back and don't want to like learn or grow, or they take everything for that tomorrow's going to be here and they don't want to push themselves. And I don't know, they almost annoy me. Like I almost stay away from people like that.
They do annoy me. Yeah. And I can tell you, I mean, my dad planned my 50th birthday. It was on a Tuesday, and he planned it at my brother's house. And that was the last time that I was able to hug and kiss my dad for my 50th birthday. You know, he was gone 4 days later, out of nowhere. He died suddenly. But, you know, a lot of people say, oh, how terrible. Every year on your birthday, you have this memory of that was the last time that your dad, you know, was around and you gave him a hug and a kiss and this, and that. I said, absolutely not. It's a gift. My dad left me that gift that I will always remember him. I remember him all the time, but especially on my birthday, because that's the gift that he left me, the opportunity to hug him and kiss him one last time. So, you know, why are you going to live your life not, you know, being fearful or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, because no. You just never know. You should push forward, push yourself and see what direction you want to take next and not be afraid. And the people that are around you, hug them, love them, kiss them, because you just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. So when you came out of grad school and you were with Keller Williams, did you have a strategy? Did you have a mentor? Who was guiding you, saying like, you know, because in real estate, most people say like, if you tell someone, oh, I work in real estate, they think that you're a realtor. You sell single family houses or condos or something like that, which people do and make a lot of money, especially here in Miami. Right. But did you have a mentor, or did you were you involved in an investment group, or how did you? No. What was your strategy?
I just, I always wanted to focus on the commercial sector.
Why is that?
That's what I like. I enjoy residential. There's too much drama involved in the residential. It gets very personal with people and the families and all that. Commercial is very straightforward. It's how many square feet, price per square foot.
More sophisticated.
Yeah. Thank you very much. What's the NOI? What's the cap rate?
Based on cash flow.
Yeah, and that's it. We know that. So it's very straightforward. So I'd rather do that than, however, what I did have a strategy. I said, okay, I'm going to focus on commercial real estate, but I'm going to build a team. And that way the team is going to give me the ability to kind of hedge, whatever shortcomings financially I might have when you have a team that helps. So commercial real estate is not as fast-paced as residential. You buy a house, 30 days you close. Here's your commission check. Thank you very much. It's much more complex than that. So you need to have something else in your toolbox to help you financially. And I built a team. So I have a director of operations, and I have agents that handle the residential sector, and I handle commercial. And I also am a business opportunity broker, so I can do business valuations. So because I built a team and I had those agents focused on the residential, it's given me the ability to open other areas, and one of those other areas I started a couple of years back is business opportunities, because I found that there were a lot of commercial clients that said, hey, I've got this commercial property, but I also have a business and I want to sell it on a going basis. There's revenue involved, how I don't want to, shut down my business and not get money for what I've built. So I went ahead and joined with the BBF, Business Brokers of Florida, and I became educated on how to value a business. So I can value the business and the commercial real estate and package it into one sale. And the reason I've been able to do that is because I had the strategy of building a team. If I were completely on my own, I wouldn't have, there's no way. There's just...
What's the hardest difficulty that you've come up against when putting together your team? Who was your first person that you put on your team?
The first person is key. That first person has to be the right person. Mm-hmm. You cannot build your team unless you have yourself, but you've got to have that key person that's going to support you and be your right-hand person. They have to own a percentage of your brain. They really do. And my director of operations was the first person that I hired. And she's absolutely perfect. And she does own a percentage of my brain. Because of her, I've been able to grow and expand and go on to different directions that I would not if it weren't for her. So she was very important to find.
What tasks does she fulfill?
She manages the operations of the team. So she makes sure that the agents are performing. She collects reports. She keeps everything in order. She's pretty much the coordinator for just about everything. Yeah.
How do you guys secure leads?
Relationships. For me, my agents can find their niche and develop their leads through their systems and their strategies. Every real estate agent has their own way of securing leads. For me personally, it's relationships. I'm not a cold caller. I'm not going to knock on doors. That's just not my thing. It's not where I thrive. It's not where I feel comfortable. I build relationships. I go out and I meet different people. I'm a member of BNI, of Business Network International. I go to events. I talk on behalf of KW Commercial. I do presentations. I do trainings. That's how I have my leads, through different connections.
Trainings for what?
They're agents that want to transition from residential to commercial, and I give them the steps of how to transition from residential to commercial. I just had a talk. It was like 2-3 weeks ago about vendor relationships. How important it is to have very strong vendor relationships. If you've got a good vendor and a good agent, you work together in the best interest of the client. It's very powerful. It'll always equal success. So I talked about that a little bit.
When you say vendor, like I think retail, like what do you mean define vendor?
Vendor can be a huge list of anything and everything. I have clients that call me and want to know who the best florist is in Palmetto Bay or Cutler Bay. I have clients that say, I need an attorney for... I know, and I have an attorney on my vendor list for any legal need that you might ever have, ever. That's a vendor. That's what I call a vendor. It's those relationships.
Do you have an attorney for syndications?
Yes, I do.
Really? Mm-hmm. Maybe we talk.
Maybe. I do.
Talked on. So you put together the person to do operations. How did you find her? Like, is she a realtor also?
She's an attorney.
An attorney. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't practice law, or
no?
She was retired.
She was working for a very large company, and she was in the marketing and licensing division for a law firm, a pharmaceutical company, and the law firm within the pharmaceutical company. And the The company was bought over, and they were asking her to work extended hours, etc. And she still has kids, but they were much younger then, and she didn't have the ability to work those extended hours and travel at a moment's notice. So she was looking for a job. I was at my parish. Her father and I were lay ministry facilitators at the parish, and she was a mom also at the school where my girls went, and we just kind of connected. And she says, I'm an attorney. I can help you with contracts, this, that, and the other. And I'm looking for a job. And I said, great, let's go. And she's been with me ever since.
And I mean, so in my head, I think, okay, attorney, she must have had a big salary. Are you paying that salary, or how does the commission work? And because you say like, oh, I created a team. But to create a team, you'd already need revenue coming in. Yeah. So you were already producing at a certain level.
Absolutely.
That you were able to pay someone $100,000, or I don't know what she's being paid.
Absolutely. I was at a point where I was able to afford to bring someone in. So she has different sources of revenue. I pay her by the hour. But then in addition to that, she helps me with some of my leads and my clients. And if she's involved in a specific transaction, I will give her a bonus on that transaction when it closes. And she sends out letters and things for me.
What does bonus mean?
That means since she's not a real estate agent and she's working for my business, I really don't pay her a commission. I pay her a bonus.
But is that based on, let's say you're getting 3%?
Exactly.
Do you get does she get a
She gets
1%?
a percent. She gets a percent.
Uh-huh.
So I'll give you an example. Yeah. She was a key component in me securing a transaction that I had close earlier this year, and I gave her 10%.
Out of your 3%? No, I always wonder how it works, or how the business relationships.
I gave her 10% out of my 3%. Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously she's not relying completely on you for her full-time revenue, is she?
Well, she gets paid by the hour, yeah.
But she works 8 hours a day?
No. She works.
So are you one of her clients and she has other clients? Is that how she positions her?
She just works with me.
Really?
That's it. And she works somewhere between 20 and 30 hours a week.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. So
yeah,
almost full-time. I mean, that's kind of full-time in today's world.
Yeah, kind of.
You know,
yeah. But she's great. She's the one that has basically catapulted my opportunities, my business to grow.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then why would the realtors are below you? And they're doing single family, or they're trying to do commercial? Or
no, they're not. They're focused on residential.
Residential.
Yeah.
Why would they join your team? Like, what do they benefit from being on your team rather than just being out there or getting a mentor? Or
that's a great question, and there's several reasons why. If they are on my team, the different firms have caps. You have to pay X amount of dollars into the firm as a split.
I don't know how it works. Break it down real quick for me. Real quick.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's say, okay. So every firm, every real estate firm has a split. Okay. You are a brand new.
Yeah, act like I'm the realtor. We work at Red Curtain Realty.
Red Curtain Realty. You just walked in. Yeah. You just got your license.
I'm super excited.
You're super excited.
I'm middle age. I'm like, hey, what do I do? Look
Dear
at
Lord.
Miami. I can't wait. I heard it's crazy hot here.
So what happens is you put your license with a firm. That firm provides you education. There's a list of things that the firm provides, all sorts of materials, educations, etc., all that. And in exchange for all of that support and education and materials, you're going to pay the firm a percent of your commission on any closings that you have. Okay. Typically, a brand new agent right off the street is a 50-50 split. Okay. So 50 you keep for yourself, 50 you give to the firm. Okay. That's it, you alone. Now, if you're a brand new agent, you just got your real estate license, and you come to work on my team, you don't have that same split. I'm going to put you in a sliding scale commensurate with your experience. You're going to start at typically, I don't start that low. Okay, I don't start at 50-50. I've given them a better split, like maybe a 60-40. But their cap is what really makes a difference. So the guy that is not on my team that's getting paid 50-50, he's got a $20,000 a year cap. He's got to pay $20,000 into the firm. And
commissions.
In commissions. And when he's paid $20,000, he doesn't have to do any more splits.
Oh.
That's it. He's at 100%. No more splits.
Like a deductible.
Right. So exactly, that's precisely a deductible. So that other agent that comes to work on my team, I'm giving them a better split opportunity, but they don't have a $20,000 cap. They have an $8,000 cap.
Wait. Oh, so the $20,000 cap is for the
guy who's not on a team.
Right.
The guy who's on a team only has an $8,000 cap instead of a $20,000 cap. So that person is going to cap faster, and they're going to be at 100% faster for the firm.
Gotcha.
It gets a little bit more complex, but there are benefits to being
because you guys are all under Keller Williams.
Yeah.
Because you still have to.
I have a split.
Right.
and I'm at $20,000 a year, and because I'm a team leader, I'll never be at $8,000 because that's just the dynamics of how it works.
Is it the same way? Like, so we're at Collier's here, right? Mm-hmm. Is it? And I know like it's more trickle down in commercial. Where you have like the high producer and they kind of all share the fees or the commissions, right? However they negotiated, the junior brokers and what have you. Is that how it is on your team, or like are you feeding everyone?
I am.
Like so
leads. I give them business,
but not like if you sell a bit industrial building, they don't feel any of that commission. They don't touch that.
No.
What about if they sell a single family house? Do you get some of that commission? And you get some of that commission?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you give them more mentoring and one-on-one.
Right. Now I do things to, for the team. I have I have all sorts of events and it's a business. So I have to buy things for the team. I have expenses for the team. I have an office that I have to, that I pay rent for, and that comes out of the team split. So it's not like I walk away and not have to put in a penny of my commission into the team. I do. Mm-hmm. But they definitely have a split with me. Yeah. But I give them business. I give them opportunities. I give them leads. The residential clients that I'm not working with are theirs. So, and I get, unless it's a friend or family, then I don't I take care of my friends and my family myself.
How many residential agents do you have?
I had 5, but I am down to 2. And you asked me a few minutes ago, what is the biggest challenge? And that is the biggest challenge.
What, loyalty?
Talent. I hire slow and fire fast.
Yeah, that's the way to go. That's what they say.
Because not everyone wakes up in the morning, carpe diem, let's go. No, and not everyone.
Think about it, because you said you're not knocking on doors, you're not farming.
No, I do it my way.
Right, a different way.
I do it my way.
To suggest that they have to, which they should, and I see it, or you don't cold call, and I see it on different groups. A good friend of mine, Virgilio, a few years ago, I'd say like 4 or 5 years ago, I remember he was the lowest guy on his team, and every day he was in his office cold calling. Well, now he's out there selling multifamily and a top guy on his team. So you see the transition. You see the guys that put in the time, put in the effort, and it's achievable. It's a long road.
A new agent should do everything.
Yeah.
Everything, because they need to determine what works for them. And there's some agents that do the cold calling and they're phenomenal. They're fantastic, like your friend. There's some agents that will cold call forever and just it's a waste of time. You've got to find your niche. You've got to find your road. So when you're a new agent, you need to try everything. Everything. Find out where you're going to excel. Find out where you're going to fail. And by the process of elimination, you will find your niche. But a lot of agents, they come on board and they think it's a quick and easy buck and I should be making, $20,000 a month and this and that. And they think it's not easy. It's not easy being a real estate agent. You have to bring value to the table. You have to work hard, and it takes a couple of months to get going. And you just don't walk in and go, "Yep, I've got a listing. It's all good." No, it takes time. And
you say months, but I would say it takes 2-3 years. I mean, the commercial, it takes 2-3 years.
Yes,
To
absolutely.
build that pipeline and those clients and to put the CRM and the drips, and then when they finally want to sell, it's,
Yep.
down the road.
Absolutely. Commercial. Well, one of the challenges is that oftentimes, residential agents stumble across a commercial transaction and they take it on. And, some residential agents, they do well. They ask questions, they learn, but oftentimes, a lot of these residential agents that should not be taking on commercial transactions. And they do. And I could tell in 2 seconds flat that they shouldn't be. But, that's another challenge. That's another challenge, that they don't have the education, the background to take on these commercial transactions. I'm like, dear Lord, it makes it so much harder, much more difficult.
Yeah, I did an office leasing years ago. And I think just because I'm an appraiser and I see leases, I read leases. I know how the structure works, how they put a part into Argus and in the whole program of an office lease and an office building. I think that helped me because I know that I asked someone to, I said, I got this office, opportunity to an office broker, and can you help me? And they were like, why don't you give me the lease or the client, and I'll give you a small fee, and you'll learn everything about it. No, it was very nice because I didn't really know them as well, and it's a very nice opportunity. If you want to be an office leasing broker, and like if that was my in, right? But I was an appraiser, so I wasn't trying to jump sides or go on to someone's team or what have you. So I declined, and then found a junior that would help me.
Right.
And and I made a mistake, doing it, but also made some decent money doing it as well.
But you found someone to help you.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is that it's not that hard, and
no,
you need someone to guide you, and then a lawyer, and that's
right.
Kind of those kind of two people. You can put it together.
You can
kind of figure it out. And like I said, I wasn't like, I was new, I guess, to the commercial, being using the real estate side of the license, but not to the seeing how leases and seeing how they play out inside the whole structure of an office building and such, So it's probably, I would say I'm probably a little more advanced than just a person who's just selling single family house or a condo.
Right.
Into that. But
you know what it is? It's not so much the paperwork, because that anyone can sit down and read it and figure it out. It's not the paperwork. It's not any of that. It's the service that you provide your client, whether you represent a landlord or a tenant. You've got to advise them properly. You've got to guide them properly in the process. And if you don't know the process, and if you don't understand the process well, you're not going to see things, and you're not going to give your client the right advice. And you might miss an opportunity to say, hey, don't go this way, go that way. And then that's where the problems start.
That's where their experience is, to be able to advise on the proper things to do. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I think you told me a couple of things when we were buying the townhouse, and I was like,
how's it looking? Good?
Yeah, it's great. I mean,
Awesome.
And it went through, the hurricane went right through there.
Yep.
It literally said North Hutchinson Island. No one says that. And then they started saying Vero because that's the most notable town, closest to it. But no, it was with the impact windows and the new roof. And so that was kind of like the test, right? The stress
timing
test.
Was great for that purchase.
I don't know. The timing was the timing.
Financially,
we got to feel the increase of inflation, right? And everything. And not to mention, but the downfall was finding the GCs, and the products took a while, and the inflation was also on the product prices, right?
Yeah,
so it was more expensive to actually renovate at that time, and it took longer to renovate.
Yep.
And but properties are like, so our mortgage, we have, I think, 60%. I forget how much. I think we only got a 60% loan, or we might even got a 50% loan. We got a lot of equity still. We left a lot of equity in it. But and so our mortgage, our debt service is like, I think monthly is like around $1,000 or something.
That's great.
And they're renting for $3,000, $4,000. Yeah. We're not renting ours, not yet. I mean, if something happens that in the recession or something like that, that we have to, it's nice to know that.
But there you go. You have that
right there and lease it out. We don't want to. Taylor got to enjoy it last week, and it was our first time for him to drive up there alone with his friend, and they went surfing in the morning. So
nice.
They got to, feel a little responsibility of being there alone.
Awesome.
I haven't been up there since to see like if the place is still intact, but hopefully it is.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. So anyway, that's interesting how you build a team, and so where do you find your recruits for the agents? Does Keller Williams help you, or?
No, Keller Williams does not really help me. If I spot talent, if I see a residential agent, if I meet a residential agent that shows that spark, that passion for work and that talent, I will ask them if they're interested in changing, their firm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do a lot of active recruiting right now because it's just so difficult. I've gone through several agents in the past, and it's so difficult to find that right person that really wants to roll up their sleeves and get up in the morning and let's go to work. Sometimes people get a real estate license thinking it's
easy.
It's easy.
So you had 5, you're down to 2.
Yeah.
Do those 3 quit the business? Or do they go to another company?
One,
or what do they do?
One did quit the business, and the other 2, they're hopping around from firm to firm to firm. So the mentality is, if I go to another firm, it's going to be better for me. If I go to another firm, it's going to be better for me. But it's not the firm, it's the person.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And have you ever thought about opening your own?
For seconds, I thought about it. But, I don't want to. It's so much overhead and E&O insurance and this and that. I really don't.
No.
Not interested. No. What I have done on my own is the property management.
All right, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What is this?
So this is new.
I'm intrigued.
This is new this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, can't have idle hands. You always have to be moving. So
where did this come from, though? Where did the idea come from?
Well, through my relationships that I have, there's a CPA, a very good friend of mine, that told me that her clients were having a very difficult time with a property management company that was working for them. Mm-hmm. And she asked me if I could talk to them and see if there was anything I could help them and guide them. And I wasn't doing any property management at that point in time.
Have you ever done property management?
For my mom. My mom has, apartments and cottages, and I did it for my mom, So I understand landlord-tenant laws, and I understand leases and everything. There's not much more than that, really, honestly. But it gets a little bit complex when you're talking numbers, bigger numbers. So I met with a client, and that client just told me about all the things that they were dealing with. Mm-hmm. And it was horrifying. It was pretty bad.
Give us a couple. Give me a couple. Like what? Give me the top biggest 3.
Okay. So the property management company would hire contractors to come and do the work.
Vendors.
And they would get paid, but the work was not done.
Oh, okay. Fraud, kind of.
Things like that. Mm-hmm. Buildings were abandoned. There were recertification issues, the 40 and 50-year recertification issues that were sitting. And this was after that horrible incident in Sunny Isles. So, things have changed since then, and the laws and restrictions have become more stronger. So he talked to me about all these terrible things, accounting issues, funds. It was just really bad. And I felt so bad. I go, how could this happen? If you have a property management business, there's got to be accountability for all this. What's happening? So I spoke to the CPA, and the CPA said, well, I've been telling them for quite some time that they need to make a change because they're losing money and losing money and losing money. So I said, okay.
How many units? How big is the?
It's 50 units.
Okay, so that's the 50 unit.
It's the 50 units.
It's all in one building, or is it multiple
7 buildings?
They all together, or is it spread out?
In Little Havana.
So it's smaller, like what, 8plexes or stuff like
exactly,
that?
Exactly.
And they're close together, or?
In the same area,
Okay.
Little Havana. So
Do they own it outright, or do they have debt on it?
There's no debt.
That's why they're losing money and they don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why. That's exactly right. You're so smart. So I went out with the owner to take a look at the buildings because before I commit to anything, I've got to see what it is that I'm committing to. So I went out there. I had a conversation with the owner, and he said, listen, can you help me? Can you do this? And I said, okay, I know I can, but do I want to? So I went out to see the buildings. They're in a state of disrepair. And there's a lot of issues and things. And I said, okay.
Was there something in you going, do you want to sell the buildings? Did the broker come out a little bit, or did you have to bite your tongue?
Well, I've got to do whatever is in the best interest of my client.
Yeah.
So in the best interest of my client, I did have a conversation with him about selling one of the buildings, not all of them, but we do have one under contract because...
Oh, you sold it?
Yeah, I have it under contract, one of the buildings, because that building is going to help fund the repair work that needs to be done so I need to bring those buildings up, and I need to change them. I need to get them. I mean, these buildings have, wall unit ACs, jalousie windows, and so either they deteriorate or I turn them around. So
what did you sell though? What was the one that you sold?
The one that's under contract.
Or in the contract.
How much or where?
What is it? How many units?
Oh, it's an 8-unit building.
8 unit, and you sold. It's under contract right now for
1.3.
1.3. I don't have my calculator in front of me. So what is that like? I mean, you said it's in distress. So are we at 150,000 a unit?
More or less.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Is that is it in the same condition? I'm assuming all of them are in the same condition.
There's some that are better than others.
Okay.
So what I did is...
You're taking that 1.3 and using that CapEx to repair everything else.
Exactly. So what I did is I ran a spreadsheet and I did a valuation of all the buildings. I looked at the rental income, what the cap rates were for all the buildings. I looked at the condition of the building. I did a study. It took me about 3-4 days to kind of think about, okay, which building makes sense to sell. And
let me just ask you, in the 8 units, was that studios or 1-bedrooms or both, or
they're 2-1.
2-1s, and
they're all 2-1s.
Were they at market, or are they below market, like
below
$1,300?
Yeah, we're looking right now. Conservatively, we're looking at an 8% cap as it is right now.
So you didn't sell it on a cap rate?
No, and then if you
there's no cap.
Yeah, well, exactly. So the pro forma, it could be somewhere there, but yeah.
But where were they renting at right now? 1,300 or less?
13 and 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 150,000, somewhere around there a unit. Yep. Yeah, that could sell for 200,000 at least. You can put money into that, and that you can get up to 200,000.
Right. So that's the sacrificial lamb. That's the one that's on the market. And once that one sells, then we're going to take those funds and rehab the other ones, bring them up to market.
So you'll still have 50, or you'll have 42?
42.
Okay.
But
did you put a number into like how much you think you're going to spend per unit to rehab?
Yeah, I'm working on all of that. I'm getting GC quotes. And
are you going to put new roofs on and all new impact windows?
They don't all need new roofs.
Okay.
There's some that do need new roofs. There's some that definitely need new windows. So I'm taking it, one building at a time and getting them up to speed, up to market, in good condition. I'm working on recertifications for one of the buildings has the 40-year recertification, and the other one has a 50-year recertification that I'm working on with the GC and the structural engineers to get that resolved.
What are the check boxes that they look at for that?
They look at everything. They focus
electrical, plumbing, everything.
They look a lot at structural,
foundation.
as you can imagine, a lot. But they look at everything, mechanical, electrical, everything. They look at everything.
Are these little Havana concrete block structures?
Yeah.
Or they're not the good? So
they're good.
Shouldn't have much structural.
No, the typical thing that you find is the terrazzo floors that have that, that hairline crack coming through. But there's methods of repairing that. So there's special materials that you could use to repair that, stuff like that. So
the owners had them for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. They've had them for a long time, and nothing was done. It's pretty. So I have this new client, and I said, okay, so let me open my property management business. This is completely aside from my real estate. It's a property management business.
So you go out on the road. I mean, you go out and you see the properties, and then you say, "Let me think about it," or do you already like start offering advice as you are a property manager?
I gave him a little bit of advice, not from the property management position, but from the real estate agent position. This one is better than that one. You should, and that's where I said you might want to sell one.
So that was your advice. Liquidate one.
Yeah, you might want to sell one to repair. So, and then I went out. I looked at all the buildings. I walked through all the buildings with them, and I took some time to think about all this. And then I thought about, okay, how am I going to help these people? How am I going to serve them properly? So, all right, property management. Where do I be? I researched property management platforms. I looked at. I immersed myself into it because you have to. So I said, okay, I can do this.
How many hours?
Oh my God, David. I spent a lot hours sitting, till 2:00 in the morning, looking at property management platforms, comparing them, calling companies. What does this one offer? How do I manage this? How do I manage that? What about taxes? There's so much involved. There is a lot involved. And then I have my legal contacts. I have attorneys that I talk to that I need to put a property management agreement together. What are these clauses and terms that I need to consider if I'm going to manage property? It was a lot of work. And then, I went into Sunbiz, created a name, got my EIN, called my CPA, starting a business from scratch, basically, carefully. That's what I did. So I created diligently, carefully, and thoughtfully, and discerning throughout the process. Am I going to be able to tackle this? Am I going to help them? Am I going to be able to turn around their situation and give them the value and the service that they deserve? So I went into it, and I got my property management agreement. I got my platform. I put together my business, opened the bank account, all of the administrative stuff that needs to be done. And I spoke to them. I met with them. I had a presentation, about the services and what I was able to offer them, so that there's no misunderstanding, so that they know what to expect. I had a whole presentation. It was a whole, whole PowerPoint presentation with all the details and everything. And they decided to work with me. So they terminated the previous company and they started working with me. And it has been a huge challenge, because if I were to start from scratch, let's say I had the 50 units from scratch, and those were my leases that I use to bring in those tenants, I know each and every single piece of that lease agreement, every clause, every condition and everything. And I have no issue because I know it backwards and forwards. But I had to work with all those leases that were already executed, and they were all different. So I had to go through.
But do you go through, or do you pay a lawyer to?
I went through them one by one.
Really?
I need to know. I'm running the show.
But you couldn't pay a lawyer to summarize this for me? Let me know.
I could, but I could. You're absolutely right. But I wanted to know. I needed to know each and every single one. I needed to get a very good understanding. So I put together a spreadsheet again, and I went one by one, and I looked at all the different terms and conditions, and I compared all the leases and all the dates where those leases expires. And eventually, when a new lease is executed, there'll be one of my leases, not those. There were clauses and things that I completely disagree with, but I'm on that wagon. I got to ride on it already. I've got to do whatever is already executed. So it has been a very huge challenge for all of those units. And in addition to that, now I have a commercial client who has a small commercial building, just 3 tenants, which is perfect. I don't want a 200 tenant situation. I'm not ready for that. I'm not. That requires a different level of a platform. That we're talking about an Argus, type of platform there. But what I have right now works beautifully. So I have a new commercial client that has 3 tenants, and I'm working on that as well. So I'm trying to build
retail, industrial. What is it?
It's office.
It's
office. So I'm working on my property management business. Why? Number one, an opportunity presented itself.
Is that still under? I mean, I saw it's still under.
No,
it's under Anchor.
It's Anchor Group Management.
Right,
so it's
yours?
separate from Keller Williams.
Okay.
It's its own separate entity, because when you're a property manager and you collect management fees,
that's different than
right.
license.
Right.
Did you need a new license? Did you have to have is there a property
No,
manager
because
license?
once you're a real estate agent and have your real estate license, you can have a property management company and you can do the property management work as long as you don't collect commission. And I don't collect commission. For example, whenever I renew a lease, I don't collect commission on that renewed lease. All I collect is management fees on a monthly basis. It's a percentage of the rental income that comes in. So as long as I don't collect any kind of commission, I don't need to be under a real estate firm, a brokerage. So, and I want it that way. I want to keep it separate. I want it to be something apart from my real estate business.
So what if your license is inactive? It still works as you could be a property manager?
No, that's a really good question.
It's kind of weird, right? Like because you're saying like, oh, you need a license to do the property management, but if you're not collecting commission, you're not really using, or do you really even need a license to be a property manager?
If you're not a real estate agent, you have to get a license to be a property manager.
Oh, and there's a certain in Florida.
Yeah. So if you're not a real estate agent, you have to get a license to be a property manager.
How much do you think you've invested so far?
So far, I'm up to, I was working on that today, this morning, and I've invested about maybe $7,000-8,000.
Okay.
Out of my
money.
money.
I mean, that's a lot, right? But it's not crazy.
It's a lot, but it's not a crazy amount.
Is most of that's gone to the platform? Was the platform expenses?
Platform expenses,
lawyer,
legal
fees,
platform expenses, and when I open an account, I put in a starting, opening balance, and
to collect rents and leases. Is that through? So is the platform like in the cloud, and is that how tenants will pay?
Yeah,
monthly?
that's the best thing about.
What if they don't have access to a computer or something? Do you have to go collect the rent yourself?
I'm not doing any collecting myself.
Who does that?
I have an on-site manager but she doesn't even collect the rent. She's an on-site manager because if there's any issues or there's inspection.
Lives there, she gets a discount. No?
I say on-site because she's always on-site, but she doesn't live anywhere near Little Havana. She goes to the buildings every week. Is building.
She a relative of the owner or something? Or
no,
she's a friend of yours.
She works for me. Yeah.
Oh, and she just cruises the properties.
She cruises the properties.
She's happy to do that.
She's happy to do it.
Really? Your mom?
No. Jeez, my mom would show up with a chancleta.
Chancleta.
Oye.
Who collects the rents?
Okay, so the platform allows. It's got a tenant interface. So the previous property management company did not have a platform. The tenants would physically have to go to their bank and deposit their rent payment in the property management company's bank every month.
That's convenient.
Yeah. So it was a hot mess. because there was no control and there were issues even when they transitioned out and we transitioned in and they transferred funds to us. There was money missing. They didn't keep they didn't keep electronic records of anything. Okay. I'm the total opposite. Everything is on the platform. So the tenants have an interface. They go in, they create an account, they have their email, they have a password, and every month they pay. Every month they pay into their tenant account. They can pay with a credit card or through a bank transfer. And my challenge was to get them all on the tenant interface, and they're all on the tenant interface, all of them.
So I guess I mean, you should assume that everyone has internet now and everyone is online. And
everyone has a phone. So
it's mobile app.
Yeah. So it's an app on the phone. So if they don't have a computer, no problem.
Can still do it. Is it real user friendly and everything?
Yes. They can see what their balance is. They can request maintenance if they have an issue. Yep. Tickets for maintenance. Everything is done through the app. I can communicate to them. Through the app, I can tell them, hey, next Saturday we have an exterminator coming and he's going to exterminate every single unit. You must give him access. He's going to be there at 10 a.m. And I can message that entire building through the platform to make sure that everything is, communicated to the tenants. So I do visit the buildings from time to time, but I have that person who's visiting the buildings every week, going out there, taking a look at what's going on, etc., to make sure that everything's in order.
How did you find this person?
She's my sister-in-law.
Oh, okay. She needed something to do, like she was.
Yeah, well.
Did she do that? Is this what she does, or this is something that?
She's a real estate agent, and so she has an understanding of, properties and leases and what have you. So she knows how to do this. She's doing a great job. She's doing a great job. So this is where I'm focused moving forward. Kind
of pivoting out of the business stuff and.
Yes. And,
are you still going to do sales or, are you?
Absolutely. I still do what I do, but now I have this other project on hand. And, what made me think about it a lot and what convinced me, let's put it that way, to say, okay, I'm going to take this on is because of the current
state of the market.
Yeah, the current state of the market. I'm like, okay, where's this gonna? I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if you do. I don't know where we're gonna be at next year.
Well, so what is your bread and butter before the property? Like, other than the business stuff?
My commercial real estate.
And you were more focused on industrial or
I love industrial.
Small bay stuff or condo industrial or what, or big or?
Well,
Is that more your focus?
It is more, commercial real estate is what I love most. And it is my focus. And I would love to do that day in and day out. Absolutely.
So
100%.
Then what are you seeing in the market? Like in I don't know how.
Well, I'm listening, I'm listening a lot. And what I'm hearing.
Do you usually, and I sorry to interrupt you, but
it's okay.
I'm trying to frame the question better. Like, do you usually rep the user of the space or the landlord, or are you doing investment sales, or are you doing kind of a mix of both, or?
I do a mix. I've represented, buyers, sellers, investors, landlord, tenants. Really,
all in the industrial space, or
different products, different products.
Did you ever think about specializing?
I've thought about that, but it doesn't make sense to me. And it's great if you're Michael Silver and you do industrial day in and day out, and everybody knows that Michael Silver, he's the king of industrial. That's great. That's fine. He's built that reputation, and he's out there and he does industrial, period. And I've thought about that, but I like all commercial products. They're all interesting. And if I were just to limit myself to only industrial, I think I'd go stir crazy. I don't.
But that might be a reason why you can't focus on one sector or another, because they all have, there's a lot of different things going on in different sectors, right? Whether multifamily
Absolutely.
or retail or office or industrial.
Absolutely.
And they all have different drivers and
Absolutely.
different players and vendors.
I agree
and what have you.
100%.
And I see that just how it's, organized throughout Colliers and what have you. And I know they would never let someone just, say, oh, I'm not going to specialize. Because they want you to be grounded, right?
Right.
Now, if you go into property management, you're kind of going to be grounded, but then you're going to have to face that same question of, do I stay in multifamily property management?
Mm-hmm.
You've already taken on a couple small office,
right?
And how does that play its way out? Or do you think you'll just...
Well, I often wonder, for who is it convenient that I specialize on one particular product?
Well, I think it's the same, going back to like when you were talking about the new agent, right? So the new agent they can't go, I'm going to cover Miami-Dade. And you're like, you are crazy. Because you got to start somewhere, right? You got to farm somewhere.
Right.
Pick a sub-market.
Right.
Get in there, door knock.
Right.
Call, mailers, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
But you can't, you can only cover so much.
No, I agree 100%. But I've been in conversations where someone will say, Tammy, are you able to sell a shopping center? I am. Mm-hmm. I've sold shopping centers.
Yeah.
Tammy, can you sell agricultural land? Yeah, I've sold agricultural land. Can you sell multifamily? Yes. Office. Industrial. I'm there like a bear. I love industrial. It's my favorite. My favorite is industrial, by the way. But I know how to sell it. And if you have a shopping center...
But is there some part of you that's... And you touched on fear, right? Is there some part of you that fears that you're going to fail if you... Because I think if you went granular and dug in... you would be successful. Not saying you're not successful.
Right.
No.
I agree.
Because I see people around here, and I see the teams, industrial teams, the office teams, and multifamily teams, and and they put in a lot of time to get there. Mm-hmm. They're not crazy brilliant people, right?
No.
They're just super motivated and inspired, and they consistent, right? It's really in commercial real estate. It's about being consistent.
100%.
And being that person of, whenever John Smith wants to sell that multifamily in Little Havana, who he's owned for multiple years, he's going to call Tammy,
right?
Because you're always following up. But you can't follow up on every industrial guy or every retail guy or every.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I don't work that way. I don't.
You're not.
I don't
built that way,
farm, industrial, in this area, and I don't do that. I just work through relationships with people. The only fear that I have is of being, don't
broke?
Put Tammy in a corner,
Oh, really?
Don't put Tammy in a corner. Yeah, why are you putting, I'm sorry, Tammy, you're going to only work shopping centers. No, I don't want to just work shopping centers because then I don't have the experience in anything else. I'm the shopping center. No, it's
interesting
because,
it is
interesting.
Most people, like when you say shopping center, I have a good friend. I know like a couple big names I think of for shopping centers,
right? And
then in industrial, a couple big names, and you don't want to be that person.
No, not interested in being that big person.
Okay, then let's throw it forward in the property management company. Is it Anchor Management?
Anchor Group Management.
Anchor Group Management. Anchor Group Management, AGM. All right. What should they be thought of? Like when someone says, "Oh yeah, Anchor Group Management is taking over that property," should they be? Oh, they specialize in multifamily.
Yeah, I'm gonna limited. AGM is gonna be limited. Oh. AGM is.
So we're taking a turn.
Wait, AGM is gonna be limited because Are
you stating this right now on the Dave Maggard podcast?
I am saying this right now.
Wow.
I am. I am going to be limited.
Exclusive.
It's an exclusive. I am. I thought about that. I did think about that because property management is different. So you build through property management, your clients and what have you. So I'm staying with multifamily, residential, and very small commercial.
One-off kind of stuff.
Yeah, one-off kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not doing high rise or anything like that. So it's gonna be small commercial, standalone, one-off. Like the one that I have, which is a 3-tenant building. That's perfect. And that's it.
You just said no, did you say no towers or something like that? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I don't want any high rises.
High rises, you said.
High rises.
Well, as soon as you said that, I thought, and with what happened in North Miami Beach, condo association boards are really under scrutiny now.
I'm not doing anything.
Actually, it seems like there's an opportunity within that.
There is.
You seem like that person because you like to organize vendors, and that's just kind of like, it's more organization rather than collecting rents.
It is. It's total organization.
And with lawyers and this and that, and escrows, and making sure that people are safe.
Right.
With 40 years, and not only the 40 years, but the actual owners are safe,
yes,
and their money is safe.
Absolutely.
You would never, I bet you would think about this.
Maybe somewhere down the road, but not now.
It seems like your personality.
Maybe somewhere down the road, but not right now.
I joined the board on the townhouse.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I just kind of listen. Because it's one of those things. I'm curious, right?
Yeah, you listen.
And everyone's old on it. So, and they, it's funny because, a lease comes in and they're like, oh, that's how I know how stuff's leasing for. They say, oh, this is, here's a lease. The board members, check it out. And I basically hardly ever even get back to them because I even said to them one time, I'm like, what are you guys looking at in the lease? Like, why are you even,
do they fill out any kind of application or anything?
Well, there's an application, but there's an application that gets sent not to the board, but to the property management company, or to the condo association.
Right.
Like there's a management company and an association.
Right.
Over, I don't know how it really works yet. I'm trying to figure it out. But I mean, but I was asking like the board members, like they're not in real estate. Like, what are they looking at?
What are you looking at?
Right?
Exactly.
Because really 100%. A lawyer should be looking at it to see if it's fraudulent or I don't even know. Like, does it check all the boxes?
Exactly. 100%.
So I because they're all like, oh yeah, looks good to me. Looks good to me. And I'm like, what are you guys looking at? And you know what? And I didn't get an answer. The only answer I got was, if it's this kind of form, that was it. And that was, I think, from the condo association.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, HOA, not.
Well, that's one of I want to avoid any condo associations or homeowners associations. I really want to avoid that as much as possible because they tend to conflict, with a property management company, and they have a really lately bad reputation. These boards and associations. I just don't understand them. Like I don't understand why it's so hard, but I'm trying to learn by just being on the phone calls and sitting in on the Zoom meetings and hearing what they're talking about. It's really funny because they say like in ours, it talks about, there's X amount of money in escrow for the parking lot. And they said, is this bid a good bid? And me again go, well, it's the only bid I see, so how am I comparing it? What are you comparing it
and
to?
I work in the world of comparisons.
Of course.
So they go, oh no, so we have these other couple bids as well. So, and I was like, okay, well now we can look at it and actually give you an opinion. And then they were saying like, oh well, the parking lot hasn't been redone since 1970s. It's been resurfaced and relined, but it needs to be. And it's kind of like with hardwood floors, they just take off the top of it,
right,
and then they reseal it and realign it.
Right.
So after a while, it just keeps diminishing, right?
Right.
So I listening to them, they go, oh, we haven't had it for so long. The property manager's like, yeah, we have the money. This is the only thing the money is for the parking lot and for like landscaping, because everything else is the responsibility of the owners. So I said, fantastic, let's get it done. I go, yeah, I'm in it. Hey, right? And then all the rest of the board members who are just hyping this up, saying we have the money, and then we haven't had it done since the 70s. I thought everyone would say, yeah. They were like, oh well, I don't know. Well, I don't know, because once we spend the money, then the money's gone. And the property management lady is saying that's what the money is for. The money's not for anything else. And they were like, yeah, but it's built up to that.
Okay, so what do you...
I don't know.
Do they have
to me, it's so strange.
Do they have reserves? So is this money in addition to the reserves that they have to keep, or is this part of the reserves? Because they need to always have at least 10% in reserves.
For what? Now, Soli said something like, "What happens if there's a lawsuit or something like that?" So I don't know that aspect of it, like slip and fall somewhere. But
if anyone wants to purchase a property where there's an association, the lender is going to look at the reserves, and the lender is going to want to see at least 10% in reserves. That is
But what are the reserves for? Like I said,
in the event of an emergency,
their only responsibility as the HOA is the parking lot and the landscaping. Right. Everything else is the owner's responsibility.
Right.
So if you have enough in escrow to pay for a new parking lot, and there's still some left, I don't know if it's 10%.
Right.
And it's 10%. Where is the 10% being allocated from?
From the rental income.
No, but the 10% of what is what I'm saying? Like
of your total annual rental income.
Well, they're condos. They're not rentals.
I'm sorry. Your fees. Your association fees. You pay association fees.
$150 a month.
Okay. So from that
like
$150,
$1,500 a year.
Okay. So from that 150, 10% stays in reserves.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, it's association income.
$5,000 probably.
Association income. Yeah.
Okay.
So from your total amount of money that you get in association fees, 10% needs to be kept in reserves.
Because that's not the money that's being, that's not the budget. Understand?
No.
That's just the money that they've saved for the parking lot. I don't know.
So
I said, let's spend it. And then they're like, no, let's just, let's do it again. And because if you just cut it down again, like smooth it out again, and then resurface it or seal it and then reseal it and then line it, that goes for another 36 months, 3 years.
So
and then you come up to that same question again. What do we do? It's so strange.
It's association.
It's kind of silly.
Association, man.
It's silly.
No,
It's one question. What do we do with the money? Oh, we need to do this. No, let's not do that.
So what are you gonna do? No, I can tell.
The money just sits there in escrow waiting for someone to steal it.
It's just
that's how I look at
the
things. The
rule of thumb has always been
you can't keep all that money in there.
Lenders look for 10% in reserves. If I have a client that wants to purchase, a condo here on Brickell, the lender is going to look to see if the association has 10% in reserves. If they don't...
10% of the annual HOA.
Exactly.
Okay.
In reserves. And that's just what the lender looks at. Mm-hmm. Anything above that 10%, they can use for whatever it is that they want to use, whatever. Mm-hmm. But they typically need to have that 10% for someone that's coming to buy and needs to borrow money and be approved.
So are you up to date on this whole FTX and Alameda and FTC?
Yes.
Are you? You're following it?
Yes. I follow. I look at the news every single day and I saw that.
What are your thoughts about? Because obviously,
do you really want to go down that rabbit hole?
They didn't have reserves.
They didn't have reserves.
And their management wasn't so great.
At all.
And wow. What a scam.
There, you just said the word. It's a scam. It's a scam.
It's the story's crazy and it just keeps unfolding.
And everything keeps unfolding and unfolding and unfolding and scam after scam after scam. And every day there's a new scam is born every day. What can I tell you? And that one, we just came to light now. And tomorrow there'll be another one. We live in a scam world, unfortunately.
Well, it sounds like you've got a great thing with the property management. That's cool. It sounds like, I think that you're going to do great in it.
Thank you. I hope so.
Focus and not go too wide on it. I think you need to
I know, David.
What does your husband say about this? I mean, he must, obviously, you guys have been together for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows that you just go.
Yeah.
And he must be very proud of you, but.
He is very proud of me. And
does he ever reel you back in and say,
he tries. His worry is that I don't rest.
Yeah.
And that I'm always, but my husband can sit at a desk and do this with his hand and take a nap. You know, he can find that level of relaxation. I cannot. I have to have a book next to my bed every night to read so I can fall asleep. I have to have something that I learn, something that I read, something. It feeds into my desire to grow.
Do you have the app Headway?
I had it.
How many good books did you go through?
And I had it. I would put it on that and Audible. I had Audible.
You know what Headway is, right? Like 15 minutes and tells you the whole book.
Yes.
It's good for like that kind of energy.
It is, but I like a book.
Whole book.
Yeah, I like.
You like the real book?
I like the real
you
book.
don't do
I like
Audible?
the real. Well, I have Audible.
Yeah.
So I can, if I need to listen to a book quickly, you know, whatever, I'll put Audible on.
What's your favorite book? Or what are you reading right now? Or anything that you can say that I should check out?
Well, I do listen to Bible in a year.
Okay.
So every year I go through the Bible.
That's great for you. Let's
You
go
know?
on. That's something that I would like.
Everything that I read is I don't read fiction. So I read historical books. I read
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading In the Interior Castle by Saint Teresa of Avila, which is lovely.
So it's either religion or you want to go see a murder. You guys are crazy. Like, so you don't listen to business books or
Yeah, I've read so many of them, and I've heard so many of them. They're just like all of the Keller Williams one, the One Thing, and the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Mindset. All of those
been through all that.
I've been through all of that. All of them. I've gone through all of them. Rich Man, Poor Man.
Yeah, sure.
All of those books that are a staple in the business world. I've gone through all of them already. So now it's unless
How many books do you read a year?
Oh my gosh.
How many a month? And let's break it down like that.
Yeah, let's break it down that way. I would say about 3 to 4 books a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like 36, 40 books a year.
Yeah, but that's super important. I think that's super important. And kids are not doing that. I don't know, we're going into kids now, but kids are not reading books. They're on the phone and stuff. And I don't know.
I mean, they do. There's certain things like with even like playing video games and things that does have its point, and there's good cognitive
I guess
results
you have
for
to
that.
have a balance, I would say.
And I think I don't know, kids are, exposed to different things than we were. And they are super, I mean, like this guy, what's his name? SBF, he was young. He was like one of the youngest billionaires. And so, I think some of them are just entrepreneurs and taking on challenges in the tech world and what they're designing and where it's going. And I don't know.
Here's what I think. By the time I was 12,
yeah.
I had already read Tennessee Williams, Hemingway, all of those super Shakespeare.
But they still have to read that in school.
But do they really read it?
Yeah, but did you really read it back
I
then?
did.
Yeah, I mean,
did.
But
I did, and
not everyone's Tammy Garcia, But I mean, I read it. I liked like Huckleberry Finn and things
that was
like
awesome.
that, right?
That was awesome.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like that the books that the app that I can hear a book in 15 minutes because I only want to hear the points. I don't know. Recently, I've wanted, because I've been listening to people talk about books and such. Recently, I've wanted to buy an actual book and read the whole and
oh wow,
because I'm interested. Well, I'm interested in the way they form their sentences and the words they use. Right. That. I'm not so interested in the story.
Well,
I'm interested on the writer and how he wrote it.
Correct, because the author has his or her own style of writing. C.S. Lewis has his own style of writing. That's another one that I'm reading now. I just remembered. C.S. Lewis books are phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I have the whole stack of all of them. And I've been reading all of his. I've got 2 more to go. But that's good reading. You want good reading? That's good reading. C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis?
C.S. Lewis.
That's a novel or a fiction or story or
it is fiction, and I typically don't read fiction, but that's really, really, really good. Really good. And they do have a little religious undertone. Well, some have a lot of religious undertones, but it's phenomenal reading.
Have to check it out. So what would you give an advice of someone going into college or coming out of college, and just that? What would you say to someone going in? What did you say to your daughters going into college? I can almost assume that you're saying like have an open mind and go try whatever you want to, whatever interests you. Is that kind of your
I will give them
motto?
I will give them the same thing that I received. I will tell them, finish what you start.
Yeah,
I will give them the same piece of advice that my father gave me. Finish what you start. You decide you're going to start something, finish it. Finish it till the end, till it benefits you, or till the end where it doesn't benefit you, but follow through. If you're deciding to do something, make that decision, be a person of your word, follow through, and get it done. Don't be wishy-washy. Be strong, be firm, and be prepared for whatever life throws your way. Be strong. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. No fear. None of that.
No, it's great. Let's end it there. That's lovely. I mean, I love it. Finish what you start. Finish what you start.
Yeah.
And the life is short, right? So go get it.
Go get it.
Tammy, thank you so much for
my
sitting
pleasure.
with me, talking with me. It's Friday night. I'm sure your family's asking, where are you?
Oh, my husband's in Orlando. My girl's at FSU, and my dog is in my brother's house being taken care of. So I'm good.
Well, I take it back. Then no one is wondering.
No one was wondering where the heck I am.
I hope you. Well, you're going back to your mom's.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see my mom now again because I left my car there. So
God bless you.
Well, thank you very much, David. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been a lot of fun.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Tammy Garcia. To support the podcast, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Now I'll leave you with advice from Tammy's father. Always finish what you start. Because every time you finish, you deliver a project, you grow as a person. Until next time, I'm David Maggard.